Hey Moonlovers, welcome to another episode of All Things Moon, Lunar Wisdom for Everyday Life with myself, Kelly Jones. And apologies for no podcast episode last weekend. I was dancing around in the woods, chanting, singing, teaching astrology in my little camper van, Little Moon, at the Yoga Wild Woman retreat. And there was just no time. I was there from Friday afternoon until Sunday evening, so I didn't get back home until about 7:30, and had an absolutely wonderful time. Over 40 women being wild on retreat. So we did everything from yoga to breath work to inner child work to kirtan to drumming around the fire ceremony, ritual, and also a little bit of raving it up in the woods with a DJ. So, we had glitter on our faces like we were at a festival, and at the last minute. So, I was booked to hold an astrology workshop on Sunday. So that's what I was mainly there for. So I got to join in with the rest of it and have a really good time. And at the last minute, I suddenly had the epiphany that I could do mini astrology readings from my camper van, Little Moon. So I put it out there, and 4 ladies booked in over the weekend to have mini birth chart readings. And I absolutely loved it because, getting this out into the world without the use of social media is quite difficult these days. So one of the ways that we can still do this is to do all the mind body spirit fairs in village halls and things like that. But I've got to say, it's really not my thing to do that. I'm really not that keen on that environment. I quite like to go and visit them, but sitting there all day at a table, hoping that people will come along to have a reading, really doesn't fill me with enthusiasm. But holding space in my own little environment. So I enjoyed the weekend so much. Uh, when they were all dancing in the woods, I went and danced for a little while, but then I was like, do you know what I really want to do? I want to make the most of having my camper van to myself, because I'm usually sharing it with Tom, and go and lie in bed and read my new book. And my new book was relevant to my workshop, and it was the only book that I could find out there which was about using astrology for empowerment, for empowering yourself. And I've tried to find the guy who wrote it. He doesn't seem to exist anywhere. He's from New Zealand. So I've been searching around for him. But this book is obviously his legacy. It's obviously the main thing. And I'm very grateful for that book. So that's what I did. And the next morning, they said to me, oh, we were looking for Kelly on the dance floor because you're normally out raving. And I was like, oh, well, having the camper van to myself, it reminded me of being a child in your Wendy house, where you've got your little teapot and your kettle and your cups, and I was playing at houses kind of thing. So my inner child was outer. I was doing a reading during the inner child workshop, so I couldn't join in with that, but my inner child was outer anyway. So, and this much more talkative, multitasking energy that we find ourselves in is because the sun is now in Gemini. So we've moved from slow, ploddy, slow down energy of Taurus, and we have arrived in communicative, chatty Gemini energy. And on Monday, well, here in the UK, it will actually be the early hours of Tuesday morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. But I'm holding the moon ceremony on the Monday evening at 8 o'clock. So just as we are still in that dark moon phase and going into the new moon. I'll be holding the online moon ceremony. That's a new moon in Gemini ceremony, 8 o'clock UK time. The link for that to join will be in the show notes. And just while it's on my mind, if I can remind you to subscribe, press the like button, share, so all of this information can get out to more people, and you'll be helping my channel to grow and helping me to continue to do what I'm meant to be doing in the world. Because I really do feel like the universe is telling me that astrology was my ultimate goal and purpose in life, and sharing things around the moon in my Cancerian essence is literally what I am here to do. Because some other things that I've been really trying to do, like Strala yoga classes, never seems to work really well for me doing it regularly, no matter how hard I try. So I've got a beautiful retreat this weekend. It's a half-day retreat. We're sold out with my friend Natalie Day. We're both Strala yoga teachers, so we're both getting to teach Strala yoga workshops. I'll be holding a moon and astrology workshop, and we'll be doing a sound bath whilst Natalie is giving everybody Reiki and crystal healing. And we've run this retreat before, and I'm super excited about it because it's such a good energy, but a very different energy that we find ourselves into a few months ago when we held the last one. So but at least I'm getting to do Strala yoga, teach some Strala that weekend. But I have Strala yoga at 8:15 on Tuesday evenings. If you're local to me in the Chelmsford area, please come and join, because I'm just desperate and dying to do a regular Strala yoga class. I teach about astrology and the moon in all my classes, have a bit of a lunar twist, including Pilates. So I'm just having a sip of my lovely rose and rosemary tea. So I've got some fresh rosemary in here to help me focus, because this Gemini energy has the thoughts bouncing all around. And I have some rose in here because my beautiful roses in my garden are starting to bloom everywhere, and they are so magical. I just love how they change colour over time. So I've got yellow roses that are now yellow and pink. I have blush, sort of nude colour roses that turn white over time. I've got roses that are red and yellow. And my cupcake roses are just starting to appear, and they are the most magical ones. But anyway, roses help to soothe and calm. If you have any heartache or grief, it's really good for that. I'm not experiencing that today. I'm feeling quite bouncy, but I do know that this new moon in Gemini will be showing up in my house of relationships. So, staying calm and feeling all romantic with my roses is really useful. And we also have this week, finally, Saturn is moving into the sign of Aries after being in Pisces for 2.5 years. And we'll be joining Neptune at those beginning degrees of Aries. And I know, because I know my birth chart, that will be showing up in my house of creativity, joy, pleasure, and romance. So bring on the roses. And I've got my new moon candle burning here. Not sure if I can pick it up. It's probably a bit too warm. Oh, there we go. There is my beautiful new moon candle. Smells absolutely divine. And this candle is for setting intentions, for helping with clarity. So anything that helps me with clarity. I've been procrastinating and doing 3 things at once all day today, but I'm finally here talking to you. So Sunday, the day that we hold our half-day lunar flow retreat, is the day that Saturn moves into Aries. So I'm going to do another separate podcast all about that. But just on a brief note to say that, Saturn is considered the lord of karma, is the strict father, is the reality check. Aries is the risk taker, the leap of faith, who wants to go into uncharted territory, and you're going to have that strict, sensible reality check father there, making sure you take precautions before you leap. But all in all, with Neptune there, the planet of dreams and delusions, we might get some strong awakenings out of delusion, but also the chance to take action with some structure on our dreams. So I will divulge more information on that on my next podcast. So watch out for that, because I'm going to do an extra one in between my weekly one. Promise. But today we're going to talk about this new moon in Gemini, because that's what's coming up. And some of the keywords that I have written down is things like crazy news, because we have got Uranus in the mix here. So we've got Uranus at the very last degrees of Taurus. So Uranus on June the 9th will be moving into Gemini. And Uranus has been in the sign of Taurus for the past 7 years. So it's quite a big shift again from that earthy, slow, ploddy, step by step, practical steps energy into wild, crazy, mental energy of Gemini. So we've got Uranus at that last degree of Taurus, last degrees, and then we've got Mercury, the sun, and the moon all kind of joined up together in Gemini. So they're all not very far away from each other. So Uranus is going to be having some, that radical, sudden, maybe shocking energy, frenetic, electric energy. And Mercury is all about communicating. It's the messenger. So some crazy, shocking news might come out, maybe in the world, in media, or maybe in our own lives. And this is really sort of wild. We've had that wild Yoga Wild Woman retreat at the weekend. So some wild and brilliant, genius mental energy going on. So things like free speech. There might be some protests. We'll want some, mental liberation going on. Or maybe because Uranus is unconventional, some unconventional ways of communicating it. Some forward thinking, and, so a little bit of a rebellious feeling in general with that Uranus there, but on an intellectual level. So remember that Gemini's archetypally is represented by the twins. So in myth, one twin is the mortal, the body on the earth, and the other one is immortal. It's the spiritual. So we've got the one is bound by the body, the physical constraints, and one is eternal and connected to spirit. And these represent those two elements that are within us. Yep. And what we're looking for is how to harmonize and balance between that. And then we've got this moon in Gemini, the new moon. So it's the beginning, it's a fresh start. But the moon is to do with our unconscious, the hidden, our intuition, that stuff that we kind of feel deep inside, that kind of knowing energy, between the more mental energy, that physical energy. So we're looking at ways to be checking in and balancing, our connection to our body, our connection to the soul and the spirit. If these are kind of working against each other, we can feel like we're off our path and we're not connected to our purpose. So I'm feeling after this weekend that I've just had quite balanced and rested and joyful, and that really has made me feel deeply connected to myself and my purpose right now. But we can all just as easily get knocked off of that, particularly with Saturn coming in here on Sunday, in with that reality check to bring us some, got to deal with the adult, mature stuff. But all of this is always for our personal growth. And, it's growth with some integrity, some maturity, doing it in a more grown-up way with some structure. Because in Pisces, Saturn has been, all over the place without any boundaries. And Saturn likes to set boundaries. So in Aries, we can put these into action. But this Gemini energy will kind of manifest itself in a need for change, for spontaneity. It's that thinking and feeling energy, bringing it together. But it's very, very much around words and communication. And because Mercury is the ruling planet, it's the ruler of this moon. Mercury is all about the mind and thoughts and how we communicate and express those words. And we've got this conjunction, widely with Uranus, but also in a nice harmonious trine to Pluto over there in Aquarius, where he's hanging out for the next 20 years. So there's quite a lot of air energy going on, but in a harmonious way. Remember, Pluto is about power and that deep psychological, bottom deep transformational stuff. And we've also got some sextiles going on, which were also harmonious with Saturn and Neptune. So we actually have some very supportive alignments this week to help us to adapt to this change in energy, to enable us to think, broadening our horizons of thought, and also, to bring our visions and our dreams down into reality into an earthly way of putting them into action. So that's really the energy that we're looking at this particular moon phase. So, the new moon is always about beginnings, a time to reset and refocus and, plant our seeds and set our intentions for our future. And with Saturn coming in at the same time, like the day before this new moon, Saturn is long-term goal setting. It's long-term visions with Neptune there. So, we can really sit and think about that. We can communicate that. We can write it down. Gemini is around writing. And it's about short courses, learning, not like the opposite sign of Sagittarius, which is about wisdom, but with that maturity there of Saturn, we can take our learnings and through experience, they become wisdom. Yep. But we could really use this Neptune energy as well to help us reimagine how we express ourselves, how we connect and communicate with others, and how we can share our ideas with the world. Gemini is very much about sharing ideas, sharing thoughts, chatty, talking. So it's also very curious. So be curious about your thoughts, what thoughts you are having, and how you can balance all of that between, this physical stuff and the spiritual stuff as well. I looked up the Sabian symbol for 6 degrees of Gemini, which is where this new moon is taking place. It's where the sun is. New moon means that the sun and the moon are together at the same degree. And the Sabian symbol, which is, I think I've explained Sabian symbols before, but they're a symbolic way of looking at each degree of the zodiac, which there are 360 degrees in that circle. And this one is called, this symbol is drilling for oil. So an insatiable quest for information and knowledge that takes us into an emotional process and the uncovering of dark secrets. So it's very much delving deep into the dark, unknown realms of the unconscious, which is the moon. Yep. As pursuing the higher wisdom of spirit. So refining. Yep. So that is that drilling down for the oil to bring it up and refine the oil. So to refine our unconscious thoughts. So I really like that symbol. So yeah, Mercury, as I said, loves to be in Gemini. It's his kingdom. So it's a very fortunate energy to have when it comes to communication and self-expression. So we might find it easier to talk to others, to write things down. So a really, really good time for journaling and for writing down your wishes and your intentions. So go take a look at your chart, see where this new moon is showing up for you. So if you know your rising sign, then you'll be able to see where Gemini is in your chart, see what house area that is. You can also take a look to see where Aries is in your chart, to see where that Saturn and Neptune energy is showing up. But, you know, it's easier at this precise moment to have a look and see, get some understanding of ourselves. So which is why it was a really good time to hold that workshop about using astrology for self-empowerment, for doing mini chart readings to help people get a better understanding of themselves. And I had some Geminis, I had 2 Geminis in a row come in. I also had a young lady who was literally almost like my astro twin come in as well to have a reading. And so undoubtedly, if she's anything like me, she would want that higher learning from astrology. But yes, so even though we've got this kind of really frenetic, mind energy going on, just check in and make sure that your thoughts are gentle and self-loving, and allow this new moon to be your medicine for, better mental health. Yep. Utilize it for that. So, don't let the mind be like a prison or a cage, and, use this Mercury in Gemini energy to speak your truth and to use the courage and the bravado of Aries, the confidence and self-assertion of that Aries energy to assert and speak your inner truth. So I thought what I would do, I wanted to keep it quite short today because I don't have a lot of time. Time is going quantum with all this, Uranus energy going on and Gemini energy, all this airways energy. I can't believe it's the 22nd of May. So I'm going to pull a card. Actually, a card came out just as I was shuffling the cards before I came on, and this is the Leo card. This is the Business Astrology Oracle deck by Catherine Hocking. I'm really intrigued by her work because she works using astrology for business and branding, And I'm finding that all quite exciting to delve into at the moment, albeit that I can't quite afford her course. I really would like to do her course, but I'm learning what I can learn in the meantime. So this is the Leo Creatress card that came out. And remember, I said that this Aries energy for me is around this Creatress energy. And that Aries is the bravado, it's the self-confidence. And at the weekend, I bought this beautiful pendant. And I'm sorry if you're just listening on audio and you can't see this, but I have this beautiful tiger's eye pendant with a moonstone in it and a moon above it. And I was really drawn to it. And I'm thinking that, it's sitting over my heart space here, but, maybe I could hold it up here by my throat. But helping me to have some courage and confidence in putting myself out in the world and communicating with you all. So shuffle the cards and see if there are any other messages that want to come out for all of us. Wow. Okay. That was a whole heap of cards there. No time to read all of those. But let's see. Yeah, there we go. There is. Right, so still 2 cards have wanted to come out, so we'll see. Okay, so we have Neptune, which is the card of intuition, which is what we've been talking about. So this moon in Gemini is very much about tapping into your intuition and balancing that out with your thoughts, the body, the mind. And it's got a picture here of somebody sitting with their hands over their heart in meditation. So, take some time to tap into your inner world and to listen to yourself. Those who are quietest hear the most. It's going to be hard in Gemini season to be quiet and hear what's going on. Everybody talking all at once. And the other card that's come out here is the Taurus card. And that's got that earthy, grounded body feeling to it for me. So they are the cards that have come up. And I know you're going to want to know the meanings. So the Leo card is all about, obviously, the lion, and it's about warmth, being inspired, bold, and courageous. I am a fertile creatress, and I choose to shine my light. And let's find the Taurus card, which is the bull, about being sensual, grounded, connected. I create the foundations. There we go. There's that Saturn structure message there for lasting abundance and security. Yep. So those long-term vision goals help us to feel more secure. And that is something that we all need, particularly Cancerians. And the Neptune card, let me just find that for you. The Intuit. So that's all about, again, creativity, intuition, and also about confusion. So if you are feeling a bit confused or disillusioned, because Neptune can do that, you tune into the deep well of your intuitive insight inside of you and sit in contemplation with that and see if you can just block out, put your headphones on, block out everybody else's talk and listen to yours, and see if you can quieten it down a little, because it will be very chatty, and see what she's got to say in there, or he's got to say in there. I'm going to leave you with that for today. Just to remind you, if you are local to me here in Chelmsford, surrounding area, next week on the 30th, that's Friday the 30th, we have got a Gone to the Moon sound journey, and we're going to kind of the theme with that is it's time for change, which it is. So to help you through that change, it's helpful to go in and change our frequency so that we can match the changes that are going on. I've got the Uranus and Saturn gongs, so they will be there helping you with that. Saturn to help you get deep with that structure and that groundedness, and Uranus to help with that mental mind chatter. So I will see you all next week. Take care of yourself. New moon blessings to you all.